Man discovers something horrible while taking a shit. It is now the apocalypse. But behind him, a group of people emerged, walking toward him, realizing the danger. He couldn't even wipe his ass and ran. He quickly returned to his cabin in the woods and covered the door with branches. Then, he observed the situation through a gap in the door. It had been 10 years since the end of the world. The global population had dwindled to only a few thousand. The group that appeared must be ruthless criminals. Seeing them approaching, Nick was scared shitless. Seeing his son's fearful expression, his father immediately got up to check. The group was now less than 100 meters from the camp. The battle-hardened father sensed the threat of death. He started packing the important supplies. They had to abandon the shelter now. Nick, however, was too scared to think clearly. His infected wife was lying in bed. Fortunately, he soon regained his composure and began packing supplies, and then his father kicked in the back door. The three of them rushed out, planning to avoid the group of killers' line of sight. With his wife's infection, she couldn't stand or walk for long. The three of them had to support each other as they fled. In the panic, Nick's backpack fell off. His father realized that if they kept going like this, they'd all be finished, so he lifted the toilet lid and told his son and daughter-in-law to hide in the cesspool. He then went out alone to fight the attackers. The brave father managed to knock down a few enemies, but after all, he was alone. He was soon killed by the enemy. The two men who witnessed this scene were devastated, but there was nothing they could do. They had to suppress their anger and remain silent, because if they revealed their position, they'd end up dead. Luckily, the gang didn't find the two men in the cesspool, just as they thought they had escaped. The leader found Nick's fallen backpack. The chief decided to take the backpack. Nick was devastated, because it contained the medicine his wife needed to survive. Soon the group carried away his father's body. Just as they were about to leave, the leader noticed something odd with the cesspit, so he tries to lift the lid to get a better look. Nick, hiding beneath, desperately held onto the lid. He couldn't lift it. This immediately aroused the chief's curiosity. Could there be food inside? He was puzzled, and he took a sniff with the tip of his nose. The smell of feces dissuaded him. Terrified, the two men snuggled in a corner, shivering, until the gang had gone away. They stepped out of the dung hole in fear. The cozy cabin in the woods had been destroyed by the gang. All the supplies had been ransacked. After all the chaos, his wife's infection worsened. Only medicine could save her, but the gang had already taken away her life-saving pills. Looking at his wife in agony, Nick grabbed a pillow and tried to smother his wife to end her suffering. But after a moment of inner torment, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't want to lose another loved one. His father's death had made him stronger, no longer weak. He decided to take on the responsibilities of a husband. He was going to take back his wife's medicine. Then he left his wife the only water he had left and covered the cabin with branches. After doing all this, he set off with determination to find the group.